You just decided not to eat that cake. You stood there, stared at it, and chose the salad instead. You felt proud. You made a rational choice. But here is the problem with that story. You did not make a single decision. Three brains made that choice. And they were fighting the entire time. Inside your skull right now, layered one on top of another like an evolutionary sandwich, are three completely separate brains. Each one is ancient. Each one thinks it is in charge. And each one remembers a different era of your species. They do not always agree. In fact, they almost never agree. And the moment you understand this, you will never look at your own behavior the same way again. Let's go back. Way back. Hundreds of millions of years. Your ancestors were not people. They were not even mammals. They were reptiles, lizards, things with cold blood and primal brains made for one purpose only: survive the next 5 minutes. That ancient reptilian architecture never left you. It is still there. Buried deep at the base of your brain, wrapped around your brainstem like a stone foundation, is your reptilian brain. It has no words for what it wants. It only knows hunger, fear, and territory. It sees a threat and it moves. It sees food and it eats. It sees a mate and it acts. There is no committee meeting in your reptilian brain. There is only action. Fast forward 100 million years. Your ancestors evolved fur. They learned to love their offspring. Mammals were born. And with mammals came a new layer of brain, wrapped around the reptilian core like a second wall inside a fortress. Neuroscientist Paul D. MacLean called this the limbic system, your limbic brain. It is the seat of emotion and memory and social bonding. It is where you feel fear spike in your chest when a stranger looks at you too long. It is where joy lives when you see a face you recognize. It is where grief lives when something you love is gone. This brain remembers. It feels. It motivates you to care about others in your tribe and to fear outsiders. For most of mammalian history, this was enough. Feel, remember, survive. Repeat. Then, only recently in evolutionary time, something radical happened. Your species grew a new brain, a massive, wrinkled, uniquely human addition that wrapped around the outside like a crown. The neocortex, the rational brain. Language lived here. Mathematics, philosophy, art, the ability to imagine something that does not exist and then build it. The ability to delay a reward for a greater reward later. The ability to sit and think without acting. This is you, the conscious you that decided not to eat that cake. But here is what neuroscience has discovered. This rational brain is the youngest. It is the smallest, and it is constantly outvoted. Your reptilian brain is still screaming for the cake. It recognizes the sugar and fat as pure survival energy. In the ancestral environment, calories were precious. Scarcity was real. Your reptilian brain evolved in a world where excess did not exist. So it says, eat it now. Eat all of it. You might not find food tomorrow. That is not stupidity. That is ancient wisdom applied to a world that no longer exists. Your limbic brain is remembering the taste. It is recalling the last time you felt the pleasure of sweetness. It is releasing a hit of dopamine into your bloodstream just from looking at the cake. Your limbic brain wants it too, not because it is hungry, but because it remembers how good it felt. And then your neocortex steps in. Your rational brain says, wait, you have goals. You have a vision of yourself as someone who makes healthy choices. This cake is not aligned with that vision. Do not eat it. 3 brains. 3 competing instructions. And guess which one usually wins when you are tired, stressed, or alone at midnight with the cake on the kitchen counter? Not the rational one. When stress floods your system with cortisol, your neocortex actually goes offline. A researcher named Bessel van der Kolk has documented this in trauma survivors. Fear shuts down the language center of your brain. You cannot think straight because the reptilian and limbic brains have taken over the steering wheel. This is not weakness, this is neurology. Every single thing you do is a negotiation between these 3 brains. When you snap at someone you love, that was your reptilian brain perceiving a threat or loss of status. Your rational brain wanted to respond calmly, but the reptilian brain moved faster. When you lie awake at night worrying, that is your limbic brain replaying a memory, and your neocortex cannot shut it off because emotion is louder than logic. When you feel the urge to check your phone every 30 seconds, that is your limbic brain seeking dopamine hits, fighting against your rational brain that knows the phone is stealing your attention. The reptilian brain wants immediate rewards. The limbic brain wants to repeat the things that made it feel good. Only the neocortex wants to play the long game. Only the neocortex can say no. But here is where it gets even stranger. These three brains do not always know they are different. You feel like one unified consciousness making choices, but you are a coalition government where the parties do not know they are separate. You convince yourself that you are one brain. You say, I decided to eat that cake because I wanted it. But really, your reptilian brain overruled your neocortex while your limbic brain was voting with the reptilian side. You were outvoted, and then you rationalized the defeat as a choice. Understanding this does something strange to how you experience yourself. It means that when you are tempted by something you said you would not do, you are not weak. You are being invaded by parts of you that evolved to keep you alive in a completely different world. It means that when you make a decision while tired or hungry or stressed, you are letting the oldest parts of your brain drive the newest. It means that willpower is not some character trait you either have or do not have. It is an actual competition happening in your skull between three evolutionary layers, and the outcome is not predetermined. Your rational brain can win, but it has to be strong enough, rested enough, and prepared enough to outshout the other two. The neuroscientist James Fallon has shown that people with stronger activation in their prefrontal cortex, the absolute newest part of your neocortex, are better at resisting impulses. They can override the reptilian and limbic demands. But this takes energy, this takes intention. This takes the kind of willpower that only works when your system is not already overwhelmed. Which is why you make better decisions in the morning than at midnight. Why you eat healthier when you have a plan than when you are improvising. Why you are kinder to people when you have slept well than when you are exhausted. You are not failing at self-control. You are just trying to get your three brains to agree. And that is the entire human struggle. You think you made a decision. You think you are one coherent mind making choices, but you are three minds stacked on top of each other, each one remembering a different era of human evolution, each one insisting that its way is the right way to survive. The reptilian brain says move now. The limbic brain says feel now. Only the neocortex says wait, think, plan. And the hardest thing about being human is getting all three to point the same direction at once. So the next time you do something you regret, something you said you would not do, something that baffles your rational mind, remember, you were not weak. You were simply outvoted by the oldest parts of yourself. And understanding that might be the first step toward finally getting all three brains to agree.